Hey, what's going on, everyone? You are now listening to Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. So, the hot topic this week is Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars. To quick a quick summary of what happened, what transpired. Chris Rock is hired as a comedian to entertain the attendees and everyone watching. And he made a comment about Jada Pinkett Smith, which were along the lines of Jada can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2, something like that. Now, initially, like everyone laughed because for whatever reason, people snickered or whatever. Even Will Smith. Will Smith was seen, laughing. And Jada kind of like had like a little smirk, not really though. She rolled her eyes, and you can tell that she was not feeling that joke. Will Smith proceeds to get up. He walks on stage, and this is on live TV internationally, and smacks Chris Rock in the face. Walks back to his seat, sits down, and then proceeds to say, keep my wife's name out your blank mouth. And Chris Rock is like, wow, dude, like, did that really just happen? And Will Smith says again, keep my wife's name out your bleep mouth, right? Like, there's so much to unpack here. I'm not going to spend like a crazy amount of time because everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has their own feelings. Well, since you're listening to Resilience in Action, I'm going to share mine. And I'm going to give Will Smith some grace in this situation because I firmly believe that I would want some grace and you would want some grace as well if you were in that type or a similar situation. At the end of the day, right? Excuse me, I should hopefully these allergies is not real. But at the end of the day, we put these celebrities up on pedestals and expect them to behave a certain way. Like certain actions are allowed from certain level of celebrity. Let's say Will Smith, his entire career, this was him. I don't think we will bat an eye. Of course, there would be a few people saying stuff, but it wouldn't be this big of a deal, right? Will Smith, for as long as I can remember, has always been the person who stands back. He's humble. He doesn't talk a lot. Well, he does talk a lot, but he doesn't he doesn't brag a lot. I'll do that. He doesn't brag a lot. He works hard, and he is very, very solid in who he is becoming. He hasn't always been that way. I don't know if you read Will. If you haven't, I highly, highly, highly suggest you get into that book. If you love to read, great. If not, Audible, he did a fantastic job with delivering his message. So I encourage you to go listen to it. But he's always been the, even in his words, the coward, right? Going back to the situation with the domestic violence he saw in his own home with his mom and his dad, right? And he talks about how he would run and hide or like just stand and not do anything, and his brothers and sisters will look to him to do something, and he didn't. And then he shares some other things in the story in the book about his life and some of those situations. Getting hit in the face with a lock, like on the first day of school or something like that. And then let's fast forward to him playing King Richard, his recent role, which he won an Oscar for. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but he was a very protective father, and he got beat up a lot. It's not funny, but he got beat up a lot. And there's one line that said, you know, no one has ever had any respect for King Richard, but the world's going to respect you. Who's talking to Venus and Serena? I think he was talking to Venus at this time. But one thing about acting, another thing that Will spoke about in his book, in his autobiography, is that you become those characters that you play, and not using that as an excuse or anything like that. But I just want you all to think about the mind state, the mental state, the different perspectives that we all have to look at. A lot of people are, oh, I lost respect for Will Smith, and he didn't do this with August, and and then people blaming Jada. Like, it's wild that people are still even on that level of blaming Jada, because at the end of the day, Will Smith is still with her. They're still together. So regardless of your feelings, that's still who he chooses to be with. So anything after that is null and void. We should be focusing on Will, right? And on Chris. We, for years, forever, right? Comedy has been the outlet to a lot of people's unknowing, right? Chris Rock later comes to say that he didn't know that Jada Pinkett Smith suffered from alopecia. And then there's a lot of people saying that they didn't know that she suffered from alopecia. But what blows my mind is that the same people saying they didn't know are really big Red Table Talk fans. Like, they watch it religiously, and she talks about it on the Red Table Talk. And if you follow her on Instagram and stuff like that, going back to, this has nothing to do with Jada, right? Nothing to do with Jada in that sense. So I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But what I am going to say is resilience played a huge part in what transpired at the Oscars. Will felt like he needed to protect his wife, and going back in his life, there was times he didn't step up. And maybe he felt like this was the moment, right? This was the moment. And of course, it took everybody by surprise because this isn't Will Smith. But do we even really know who Will Smith is? At the very, very end of the day, Will Smith is a human being, right? Just like me, just like you. He's a human. And every human has a breaking point. And as he said in his acceptance speech, like, is they have to be an entertainer, you have to be able to take a lot of disrespect, a lot of mistreatment, a lot of abuse, and laugh that shit off like it's okay. Why do we do that? Why do we do that to celebrities when at the very, very end of the day, they're human just like you and me? Why do we put that pressure on them? So going back to resilience, maybe this was his moment, right? His bounce back moment. And it shocked everyone that he really just go. And Chris Rock is like, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. I didn't expect it. I didn't even watch the awards. There seemed to be a lot of people who are just fed up with the disrespect. Because if I'm not mistaken, Tiffany Haddish needed to check one of the interviewees about something about her wardrobe. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people are celebrities, people that we've put on pedestals, right? People that we've they're glitter and gold, and they're so up there. We are starting to see that they are human too, and you can't talk to them any type of way. You can't mistreat them. Like it's not funny. It's not cool, right? Why do we get to do that to them? Right? Why is that allowed? You ever ask yourself that? Why do we allow ourselves to belittle and dehumanize celebrities? Oh, because this, that, and the third. There's no excuses for it. Because at the very, very end of the day, like this podcast is called Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. Resiliency will lead to a greater human experience. That's all anyone is trying to do, is have a greater human experience. And how dare we try to put all our shame and insecurities on them because they're these celebrities. Hey, y'all. Listen, it is time for some action. If you are enjoying the content that you've been listening to, I need you to rate and review. That's it. That's all. Make sure you go to wherever you're listening to this podcast and rate and review it for us. We appreciate you so much. Let's get back to some resilience. Right? Everybody talks so much shit about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith and August Alsina and all that stuff. Everybody has so much to say, except the fact that they are human beings. Yeah, they're in the spotlight, but they're still human beings. Will Smith is a human being. Jada Pinkett Smith is a human being. Chris Rock is a human being. Now, maybe he didn't deserve to get slapped on national TV. But what we have to understand is that we cannot move through this world saying whatever we want to say and expect not to get any type of repercussions. it wouldn't happen. There's people that got slapped for your mama jokes. Like, people have gotten slapped for a lot less and a lot more. We have to remember, we have to get back to grace. We have to get back to humility and realizing that these celebrities that we put up on these pedestals, they're human beings. They make mistakes, you know. And this, I'm not even going to jump into the comedy aspect. That's a whole nother episode for a whole nother time. But comedy forever has always pushed boundaries, has always crossed lines. I mean, Kathy Griffith got canceled for her art with Donald Trump. Everybody was trying to cancel Dave Chappelle about his LGBTQ AI plus comments and his comedy. All right, we can even go way back, and which is something I do not agree with, is going way back, way back and digging up old shit from people and trying to use that against them. I don't agree with that, because that's saying that you're not giving these people space to grow. And that's what happened with Kevin Hart with the Oscars. I don't know how many years ago, a couple years ago, he was supposed to host, but someone in our community found these old ass tweets and his stand-up from years and years and years ago that he had already apologized for, and tried to use and basically use that against him and wanted more apologies. Is mind-blowing. You should not be able to go back years and years and years, because and pull stuff from people's past. Let's do that to you. Let's see what your past looked like. You know, you're trying to go to the next level, but let's go way back into the archives and pull up some stuff that you've said, some stuff that you've done, and let's see how far you go. Because me, speaking solely for myself, I've said and done a lot of things that right now y'all be like, well, yeah. Am I still that same person? No. We are allowed to grow, and we have the birthright to be able to expand and evolve and even change our mind when new information is presented to us. Why don't we allow celebrities to do that? Resilience, right? Resiliency, the ability to bounce back, right? My definition, the ability to master the fall. And Will Smith is going to bounce back from this, because that's what he does. Chris Rock is going to bounce back from this, because that's what he does. It's not the first time that Chris Rock has said some wild shit. And it probably won't be the last. But we have to remember that we are all human beings doing our best to have a greater human experience. And that happens through resiliency. There's no other way around it. That happens through falling on your face, getting back up, dusting yourself off, and moving forward. That's how that happens. And that's what's going to happen. There's been folks that's like, oh, comedy will never be the same, but it will. But it will, because here we are. Here we are at a crossroads of boundaries in comedy for the umpteenth time. this would be a forgotten incident, maybe not for them, but for the world, until the next crazy thing happens, right? From all of this, I want you all to really, really ask yourself why you view celebrities as more than human beings. They're not superheroes. Will Smith is not Hancock. Like, it's he's not Deadshot. You know, he's Will Smith, Willard. He's a human being. Chris Rock, he's not a superstar. Well, actually, he is a superstar. He's not a superhero. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He's a human being. I want you to allow grace when grace is due. This is a moment when grace is due. Ask yourself this as well. Ask yourself if you would want grace in this type of situation. If this is a situation that you would want someone to step back and say, hey, you know, my bad. Is that something you would want? You will want grace? Then I implore you to show it. Resilience in action is literally what's unfolding in front of us with this entire situation. The bounce back. Watch how both of them bounce back. And then hopefully you can learn something from that situation and apply it to your own life. Whether it's knowing that not all jokes are funny, knowing when and how to protect your family, maybe finding other ways to get your point across without any physical violence. I don't condone physical violence whatsoever. It's something I want y'all to think about. All right? Something we all need to think about. How can we use this? What lessons can we draw from this? Since it's national news, it's everywhere. What lessons can we draw from this situation to help us have a greater human experience? I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And I want you to remember one thing: resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.